Climber. If things are always going sideways for you in your music career, it might not be just bad luck. There's a possibility that you are a chaos addict. It's sneaky and it can kill your career before it even really gets started. So we're going to help you identify 5 ways that chaos addiction might be showing up and sabotaging you and your career. We don't want that to happen. We want you to win. So listen up. Johnny, do that thing.
Welcome to the Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. This is the way to win. This is the path to success. You have to create leverage. You have to create some success, a track record that shows you know how to write songs, that shows you know how to be an artist, that you can make money, and that you can get streams. And when you develop this track record, everybody will come out of the woodwork wanting to work with you. It's why we call it C.L.I.M.B, C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. That's a backstream from my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter, who is an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. Got a couple number ones in Southern Gospel, top 10 in Australia, top 10 in Texas radio, making moves. The boy is relevant, still staying, still making it work. But what's more important to you, he helps songwriters like you turn pro by learning how to write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then on the regular, he's going to get you consistent opportunities to get in front of the pros so that you can create that relationship and start climbing that ladder your dang self. So you can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com.
And I want to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That is production, singular, no S, and there's no S because there is no other. Johnny D.
How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm
very
fired up.
interested in this chaos addiction.
Yeah, man. I think it pairs well with the series that you have going on from the E-Myth by Michael Gerber. This is also based on a book that my sister sent to me. She had extras, or she'd already read it, so she sent it to me. It's called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. It's Get Unstuck, Reclaim Your Freedom, and Build Your Empire. Sounds like a Johnny kind of book. And so I just finished it up, and there's some good stuff in here that I wanted to bring to the C.L.I.M.B community.
I love it. I love it. Well, before we get there, let's take care of a little business first.
Yes.
Make sure that you join the C.L.I.M.B community on Facebook. It's facebook.com/groups/the C.L.I.M.B community. You have to ask to be let in. We let everybody in unless you look suspect, like some kind of bot selling siding or a hooker.
Mm-hmm.
We get those too. This is fascinating. So we have to ask to be let in. We let everybody in. Come on in, but be good boys and girls, or you will be roadhoused out. Okay. The feed is for questions. If you got a question and you want to ask, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? People are gonna hoist you up and shower you with love and affection and knowledge in the community. And Brent and I chime in too. But if you're putting your own stuff in there, like these are your peers, guys. It's not the place where you're gonna get a new fan for the quality of your song. Like that they're doing it too. But you might get a new fan if you ask the right question. They learn something.
Or you might get a co-writer if you share your music on Music Monday and they dig what you do. Then hey, there's a place for that. There is a place to share your music. So
good point. Yeah. So make sure that, and there's been a lot more activity on the feed. That's really good activity on the feed. We want to encourage that. We love it. Thank you to everybody who's been contributing. And if you know, on Mondays, that's we put your new music there. On New Music Mondays, there's a post every Monday. You can put it as a comment on that post on any day of the week, but that's where you find it. And then Wednesdays is New Heights. Thursdays is the Gig Alert. Man, tell us where you're playing as a comment on those things. We're just very protective of the feed. We want to make sure it's always relevant to the entire community. Let's shout out a couple wins here.
Yeah, so every Wednesday we post the new heights, and you can post in there as a comment anytime, but the new ones drop on Wednesday, and I try to tag everyone in the group so you can see it. But this is a time where we get together and we share our wins and we celebrate with each other. So what I love seeing, not only are the wins, but people commenting and liking and the follow-ups on all the conversations that get going on the win. So I love that. So here's climber Cammie Huff. She says, I'll be recording some more originals in Nashville. So that's super exciting. And of course, K.L. Martin jumps on there, says, Cammie, I checked out your music and it's really, really great. Look at that. Good stuff happening. So,
Nice.
yeah,
Congrats,
Cammie.
Cammie.
Yeah, I'm getting to know Cammie's music. By the time this drop, we will have already announced the
Wait, it's
top
Cammie with
Cammie,
a C?
K-A-M-I,
Hey.
Huff.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Hi, Cammie. Sorry, I said Tammy. I meant Cammie.
Cammie. Yep. So Cammie's doing some good stuff. She just recently had a song, I believe, make the top 10 for our play for a publisher event at Songwriting Pro. So she
So
had
she's making
stuff in there
moves.
battling it out, and the top 10, the on hold stuff for Paul Compton, which by this point, has already closed up. The winners are announced and everything. But so you talk about connecting to the pros. She's going to be doing that,
Yeah.
which is cool. So congrats, Cammie.
She's making moves.
That's right. Let's see. We have K.L. Martin, speaking of him, who just commented on Cammie, said, a while back, I was inspired by a word on one of the Wordplay Thursdays. So Wordplay Thursday is something that I do on the songwritingpro.com website every Thursday. It's like just a little, we give you a word or a topic just to get the wheels turning. It's a little creative Kickstarter. So we do those every Thursday on the website. We do them every single day in the private Facebook group for Songwriting Pro members. But this one was a Wordplay Thursday. And so KL says, I continued to work on the lyrics. Just for kicks, I entered in the American Songwriter Lyric Contest and was notified last week that I was an honorable mention. I'm sure that a lot of people get honorable mention, but it's really cool. I don't think a lot of people get
I don't
honorable
think a lot of
mention
people
because
get
it's
honorable
in the
mention, man.
magazine. It's in the magazine. I just got my new American Songwriter magazine, and there are only a few people. So I'm going to have to look for next month. I bet that's where KL is going to be. And Kale is going to rock it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, yeah, for the record, Kale, American Songwriter Magazine is not a like participation medal kind of institution,
no.
right? Like if you didn't win, you got honorable mention. That meant that they were fretting over if you should get in or not get in, and then they felt like it deserved an honorable mention because maybe you got outvoted by one vote or something like that. But that's
it's
pretty friggin' awesome, man.
It's a short list every month. So Cammie, KL, that's awesome. And what I love about that is like the wins coming through, was inspired by Wordplay Thursday. Doing the thing, engaging in the stuff and going, oh, this is cool. I like what I'm getting
See
here.
what happens with that? You
so
just got Kickstarted, next thing you know.
That makes me feel really happy as going, thank you. All right. Yeah, using the Songwriting Pro stuff. So love it. All right. So those are the wins. So that them and everyone else who listed a win, thank you. Keep on climbing.
There we go. All right. And make sure that you follow the podcast on whatever platform you use so that you're able to access every single new episode as they drop. And finally, tell a friend about it. Mm-hmm. If it comes from you, it's 100% true. If it comes from us, it's 50% true. We sound like salespeople. But you're like, no, right. Check it out. Like, you're gonna like
it's still 100% true, but you can like 50% trust it. So
yeah.
All right. So I ran across this concept of chaos addiction in this book recently, which I'm holding up. If you're following us on YouTube, which you should, but it's called Buy Back Your Time. It's by Dan Martell. And I just thought that the concept of the chaos addict made a lot of sense. It was way too powerful not to share with the Climb community because, as always, we want you to win. I think a lot of our listeners will listen to the stuff and just be like, dang, that's me. So hopefully it'll help you understand why you operate the way you do and maybe where some of your blind spots are and help you uncover them so you can deal with them and then have more success. So I want to send a shout out to my sister Dion, who sent me the book over for Christmas. She's like, I've already read it. I want to send it to you. And I gobbled that sucker up. So it was really good. All right. So let's just dive into it. I'll be reading a lot from the book and adding like songwriting and music business twist to it. So this says about 9 out of 10 of the entrepreneurs, so this is from Dan, the author, about 9 out of 10 of the entrepreneurs I meet tell me they had a chaotic upbringing. Formal research seems to back this up. In a study, researchers from the University of Queensland in Australia, good day, found that children with challenging childhoods are more passionate about starting a business. Interesting. So Steve Blank, a Silicon Valley entrepreneur and Stanford professor, has a theory he calls dysfunctional family theory. He says that good entrepreneurs have similar personality traits, including passion, tenacity, and remarkable comfort with operating in chaos. So this kind of dovetails with what you did
Wait,
on
wait,
your
say that
last
last
week.
part again. Remarkable what?
So, good entrepreneurs have similar personality traits, including passion, tenacity, and a remarkable comfort operating in chaos.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
good with
Uh-huh.
chaos, right? So I thought that was interesting, and we've already established last week on your episode, Johnny, that if you're an artist, a singer, songwriter, indie artist, you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So this applies to you. Okay, are we reading your mail yet? Is this sounding
Yeah.
familiar yet? Uh, so he said, if startups and you're start in your music business, whether you're a songwriter, whether you're an artist, it's a startup, right? It's a startup
Mhm.
business. And it says, hey, these are inherently chaos. Well, then it makes sense that early childhood adversity can help build the muscles necessary to handle this chaos. Some of the
Yeah.
possible positive outcomes from early childhood adversity. I just thought this was interesting. This is kind of foundational for this. So, say chaotic childhood, came home to a frequently untidy house. The entrepreneurial enablement here might be you can function relatively well in a disorganized environment. Okay,
Mhm.
there's a silver lining there. Uh, the chaotic childhood, forced to solve atypical problems such as providing emotional support for younger siblings, will help you to have an ever present problem solving mindset. So you're
Mhm.
building right. You're building muscle from this. You weren't sure where your next meal was coming from. Well, that helps you deal with the unknown with calmness. You're like, I've been here before.
You
This is
know
not my
that you
first
know
rodeo.
you figured out a way so far to stay alive,
Exactly. This is not the
and
first time I wonder where my next meal is coming from. I did
yeah,
that.
so
If I
so
can do that when I
you're not
was
afraid
10, I can do that
of
when
not
I'm 30. Right.
yeah, you're not afraid of not knowing where your next meal is coming from. You don't like it,
Right.
but you're not afraid of it, and you know that you can
And you can deal with it versus
deal.
someone who never had to deal with it before is like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, chaotic childhood couldn't depend on adults for basic needs like a ride to soccer practice. So the entrepreneurial enablement here is you can manage excess responsibility because you've had to
Mhm.
as a child, right? You've had to take care of your siblings, yourself, do things that are beyond your pay grade at that point, but you just had to. The next thing is dealt with abnormal childhood stress, so which enables you to deal with high dollar complex problems as an adult because ain't nothing new here. I've been dealing with
Yeah.
stress and stuff over my head my whole life. So I thought that was interesting. So hopefully put a silver lining on on your childhood. It seems like pretty common among creatives, people in the music business, and just people in general. Pretty chaotic childhood. Um,
Mhm.
so there's some silver lining, but here's the bad news: entrepreneurs can become so accustomed to stressful and unknown environments that they become downright addicted to chaos. Chaos can feel so normal that calm feels strange. So entrepreneurs have
Mhm.
been so trained to dealing with stress, like making difficult decisions based on incomplete information and last minute changes, that they're always looking for the next problem, even if it doesn't exist. So without a
Mm.
fire to pull out, basically, we get inwardly anxious and we might start striking matches. Right.
Yeah.
So he said, I have a friend who sabotaged a multi-million-dollar business deal just because it was going so well. And he started freaking out. So he's kept finding reasons to stall the deal, make it not work. He wasn't even aware he was doing it. This is that
Oh my gosh.
self-sabotage that happens so often with so many people. I mean, this is like, straight up business, but in the creative world, come on. He said,
Mhm.
once you're so addicted to chaos that it feels normal, you can accidentally look for it everywhere. And when you look for problems, you often create them, which weirdly reinforces your belief that everything's chaos. It's like the
Mhm.
person who thinks it's like the person who thinks everybody's staring at them. So they start getting all weird and fidgety. And pretty soon what happens? Everybody's
Everybody's
staring
staring
at
at
them
him.
because they're weird and fidgety.
Yes. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think, John, you think we're reading anybody's mail so far as artists and people you've worked with?
Lots of them. Yeah.
Lots of them. Right. So
I'm thinking
hopefully
of
this
lots of
is going to
people right
be,
now.
yeah. So hopefully this is going to be helpful. I'll be
Yeah.
just transparent. I've been very blessed in this area. My parents are still together. It was a very calm, stable household growing up. Not a lot of stress. Not a lot of. It was not chaotic. And
Mhm.
so, I'm definitely coming at it from a different place. I still have. We're going to talk about some of these 5 ways that you can self sabotage. I can still relate to many of these, but just coming at it from a different place. So I didn't have that kind of childhood. I'm thankful. I've had to build
Mhm.
my entrepreneurial muscles in different ways, but just, area of
You know,
transparency there.
so same with me. I was very blessed to have like a pretty solid, upbringing. There wasn't a whole lot of chaos,
You mean
but
your dad, the Marine, wasn't all about
that was the chaos.
unstru
Like, yeah, when we were
but
really
it was
young, like
probably structured chaos.
it's
Like, it was
structured chaos. It was structured chaos, and it was predictable. It wasn't unpredictable, right? Like
right.
when there was chaos, it was for a reason, and it meant you earned it. And there was
The
chaos. Yeah.
I like to think of those as consequences, Johnny.
Yeah,
Those are
there's a call
consequences.
also, yeah, AKA consequence. But I will say this, like, it's what's weird is, the this rings so true for me because so on that note,
Mhm,
when I first started doing the artist thing, like, when I was in high school and, in my late teens, very, very early 20s, before I started touring, I was pretty friggin' wound up as an artist, you know?
mhm,
Like, if something didn't go perfectly the way I wanted to go, like, I was pissed off and very high strung. It
mhm.
affected everybody around me.
Yeah.
Some people just didn't like it, they couldn't handle it, you know what I mean? I was not the chill person. And then, you wanna mainline chaos? Go on the road, you know? And
That's
the
right,
first
yeah.
time we went on the road, we were out for, like, a year,
Ugh, wow.
straight. Like, we didn't come home for almost a year,
Yeah.
right? And that
Like the Iliad,
is
man.
dude,
Yeah,
I mean, like, we joked about it so many times, but, the law of rock and roll that Murphy completely underestimated the problem, right?
right.
And then you learn to just let go of the
Mhm.
things you cannot control
Right.
and focus on the things you can control. Okay, we just got popped at a way station that wasn't supposed to be open on Sunday because the 24-foot rider truck carrying our production has bald tires that they're not going to let us
Mhm.
go with, and they're not going to let us go. Like, what the hell's going to happen? We're going to get a big ticket, and then now we're late, and all this stuff. And, okay, what does this make possible? How are we going to get to the show and get the stuff set up on time?
Mhm.
Who's going to do what? How are we going to divide up the duties to make sure that it happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you learn how to crisis manage like that. And after that, my soul, the chaos caused my soul to experience calmness, like I all of a sudden I'm comfortable in that. And I remember when I first moved to Nashville after I got off the road, I thought I might try this thing as a songwriter, see what goes on here. And there wasn't enough chaos for me. Like, it was just this huge culture shock. Like, where I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay," 'cause, here I was the ringleader of the three-pole circus tent, like, it
Yeah.
was insane, and now it was a definite culture change, and that was weird too, you know what I mean? So I can
Yeah.
understand it from, like, both, ways on that, so this is super
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So, overall, the subconscious need for uncertainty. So, going back to the book, buy back your time. It says overall, the subconscious need for uncertainty and chaos comes out in one of five ways, which the guy here calls the the 5 time assassins to entrepreneurial success. So these are time assassins. So and I'll just read them off here, then we'll dive back into them.
Yep.
One, the staller. You sabotage your own success by hesitating on big decisions.
Mm,
Two, the speed demon. You make rapid decisions, such as hiring the quickest, easiest, cheapest option, then you find yourself in the same position again. Three, the supervisor. You fail to properly train, micromanaging others, failing to empower them to grow and learn. Four, the saver. You have money in your bank account, but you don't understand the value of spending it on growth opportunities. You let it grow like a nest egg instead of investing in your business. And five, the self medicator. You turn food, alcohol, or other vices to reward yourself when you have success. Then you rush to the same destructive activities to escape failure or pain. So if you haven't
mm.
read your mail yet, open your mail. We've already been in it. See our fingerprints all over it. So,
Yeah. That's right.
all right. So, number one, the staller. So again, you're creating chaos for yourself because you're addicted to it, and so therefore things can't just go smoothly. So how can I screw this up on some subconscious level? Self sabotage. So the staller drags his feet when opportunities come knocking. So it might be, the publisher said, "Hey, you do a songwriting pro event," and the publisher's like, "Man, let me know next time you're in town. We'll grab a coffee." And you don't make that call next time you're in
Mhm.
town, right? the songwriter says, man, they see you out at the C.L.I.M.B takeover and they're like, you're really good. We should write sometime. Here's my
And you don't make
number.
the call.
Here's my Insta handle or whatever. Hit me up, DM me, whatever. And you just don't. You never lay down that work tape or that guitar vocal that your co-writers are waiting on. You just don't kind of get around to it. Or like a producer or publisher says, man, I dig your stuff. Yeah, send me some stuff. And you got
Mhm.
their email. Why haven't you done that yet? Well, you
Mm.
just, because things could go too well. Don't be scared of success, my friend. I remember hearing
Mhm.
about at Blue Water when I was there when I first hit town. I remember talking to Keith, the creative manager, and he was so frustrated about this writer we had who's a hit writer, well respected. I mean, he's a pro, right? He's a hit songwriter. And there was this big artist who's fairly new at the time, but hit artist that like was a fan of this dude's work because he's also like an indie artist and as a writer and wanted to write with him. So like $1 million phone call. The
Mm.
writer just wouldn't make that phone call. Social anxiety and just, I
Ugh.
guess, just the need for cat just didn't. He's like, call them. He's like the old Andy Griffith episode. Aunt B, call the man. It's just, oh, the fridge isn't working. I want to save a couple. Call the man. We got meat
Yeah.
that's going to spoil in there. Call the man in Mount Pilot. So, same thing. I remember him being so frustrated. I'm like, how is he not making that call? I'll make that call. I'll show up. Of course, I'm not that good
I'll
of a
show up,
writer.
pretend I'm him.
Whatever I got to do. He doesn't want to write with me, but if that other guy will make the call, I will. So it's a thing, man.
Yeah.
I
And
I
that
was like,
clearly happens, not just at the beginning of the journey, like
no, all
all
along, like,
throughout
right.
the journey.
Like somehow your journey continues in spite of this kind of behavior. Um,
Yeah, I got a lot of stories like that.
yeah. So he talked about this guy that he's like, oh, this would be a great partner. I could bring this guy in. I could introduce him to my audience. We could do the same together. So I trust, this guy does good work. So I emailed him and like 2 weeks go by and I have no response yet. And by this point, he's just sitting in his inbox and they're like, this is a good
Yeah.
opportunity for this guy. Because now I'm not going to present him to my audience. Because he's a staller. Like, I can't trust that he's going to be on the ball. He's not going to be Johnny
Yeah.
on the spot, right? And
Yeah.
so maybe the guy was thinking, hey, I'll fail. I'll let my buddy down. Imposter syndrome, maybe all that stuff. Who knows? But either way, he's like, no, that opportunity. I'm going to basically you're letting other people make that decision for you. You're putting it off
Mhm.
and letting them tell you no or letting them make that decision. You're just being too passive. So you're stalling. So that's one of the ways that we create chaos for ourselves.
Mhm.
Number 2, you ready for number 2?
Yep.
Is the speed demon. So the speed demon makes you believe that you drive success by making decisions quickly as possible. So when you're falling prey to the speed demon, this says here, like you might haphazardly hire the first candidate you find, whether it's an aunt, a friend, or a mailman. This might be musicians, demo people to be in your band. Let's just go, right? Or
Yeah.
if you get approached by management or by other things in the business, like, go. Okay, quick. Just make quick decisions. Or you forcefully select the first technology platform that you find, even if it doesn't really fit your needs. So as an artist,
Mhm.
you're going to have needs for platforms, that kind of stuff, email list, all that kind of stuff. And so you're just going to quickly go with the first option. I think for songwriters, it may show up as you finish songs too fast. Like you don't grind, polish, or rewrite. Like
Mhm.
on to the next song, on the next song, on the next song. And some great songs may get written that way just through reps. Like eventually good stuff happens. But is that a way of just avoiding, hiding? Like I'm doing the work, but I'm not doing the last 5% of that work that could
I
really,
I wrote I wrote I wrote this many songs, like,
yeah. Okay. But you
but
need to rewrite 95% of them or whatever.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it might be that, or it might be you don't slow down enough to think or reflect on your business and how are things going. I think that's it's January. And so Johnny and I were talking before off air. It's like, man, this is the time of year that I, reassess how am I doing business? What needs to change? What are some ways I can streamline this and do this better and more effectively? And so that's really important. John Dewey once said, We do not learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on experience.
Mm-hmm.
Without stopping to consider why something happened, you're unlikely to fix the issue.
Yeah, that's a
So
good
you're a
point.
speed demon. You're always going so fast, you don't stop and go, why is it the thump, the thump, the thump as I'm heading down the road?
Yeah.
You might have a flat tire. You might want to just take a minute.
You should. Yeah.
I don't have time to tighten these lug nuts. I'm in a hurry. As a way of knowing that your freaking wheel's going to roll off in about 2 miles. And look, yay, more chaos for me. Then I'll have another project. I'll have
Yep.
something
Now,
else to
now I got to
do.
change a tire
Right.
and do all this other crap I got to do. Yeah.
You know, Stephen Pressfield, we've referenced this book a lot in the War of Art. He calls it the resistance. And this may be one of the ways that resistance shows up as self-sabotage, is like to keep you from doing your important work that you were called to do, going to create chaos for yourself. So some of it is just, I'm creating this so I can't go write that song today. So I can't, go on the road with so-and-so or whatever this opportunity is. Oh, I can't do it, man. My car broke down. Why? Because I purposely did not put oil in it for a year
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it was a matter of time. You're like, this will come back. Oh, yay, more chaos, right? So that's the speed demon. I think it may also show up as, you're doing, the guitar vocal could be better. The demo could be better. You don't want to have analysis paralysis and being so perfectionist that, as Seth Godin says, you never ship. But you go through so fast as a way of kind of self-sabotage and causing chaos. Diving into stuff too fast. So that's the speed demon. You also have the supervisor. When you hire someone and then do their job for them, you're in danger of the supervisor. The supervisor is the opposite of the speed demon. So haunted by the supervisor, you either like micromanage others or just take over completely. So this might be, you hire a demo musician or singer and then just redo all the parts yourself. Or you just totally squash your creativity and their soul in the room by micromanaging them. So you end up getting a worse performance because you've just ripped their lungs out in the
Yeah, you're
booth,
not empowering them at all
No,
because
you're doing the
you're
opposite, right?
yeah, you're
And
making
what
them feel
happened?
like crap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're self-sabotaging. Then it's causing chaos because maybe then there's drama. Now they hate you, or it's like micromanaging. Or you do it yourself, so it's just right, but it takes forever, which is kind of stalling as well. But like you're micromanaging it. Or you have an admin team, but you just do it all yourself. Johnny, in your last episode, it made me think of this because, like, you're not the accountant, right? Your dad handles like all the bouncing, all the books, all that stuff because you're like, I have no interest in that. I hate it, and I'd screw it up or whatever. Hey, same thing with me and why Blue Water works for me now. I used to work for them. Now they work for me. I'm an admin client of theirs. And so they handle licensing, they handle, royalty collection, they handle all the stuff, licensing songs around the world, copyrights, all that, making sure all the what T's are crossed and the I's are dotted to collect the money. And they send it to me. They keep a share for themselves, which is cool because they deserve it. They earn it. They're adding value. And it's like, I do that because, so the supervisor would be like, well, I'm still going to go in and I'm going to kind of handle all this stuff and step into it, and step on their toes and do their job for them. Like, what am I paying them to do? Let them do it. Right. I don't need to be sticking my finger in the pie and causing chaos. For one thing, I have them do it because they know what they're doing. They specialize in that. They're good at it. I don't have to take time away from writing songs or recording podcasts or doing Songwriting Pro events to do it. And I would lose money, like the percentage I would keep by firing them. I'm going to lose just in bleed from royalties that I never collect, songs I never write. It's like financially, it's an investment to let them do it. But the supervisor is going to step in and every step of the way be like, hey, have you heard back from this, vanity or this small little artist who, I'm going to make like $45 off this song. And I'm checking every day to see if they sent the license back in. And what about this language on that? What about that? Just let them shut up. Let them cook. You're not going to make that much money off it anyway. What are you doing? I'm causing chaos. So I don't have to go write a song.
Supervisor just, I think another sort of sub genre or sub category of the supervisor is the person who just won't delegate at all.
Yeah.
right? I'm just gonna do it myself, right?
Yeah,
Either
exactly.
because in the time it takes me to teach you, I can just do it myself,
Uh-huh.
which is like the dumbest friggin' thing ever I've ever heard, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, but once, the first time,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Or it's a money thing, right? They're like, "No, no, I'm gonna save money by
Mhm.
doing this myself," and they're not thinking about the big picture, you know?
Right.
I mean, I think about I'm saying this because, like, in some corporate content that I'm creating for Daredevil now, I'm trying to get this message across on, on where you spend your time, right?
Mhm.
And what's your highest and best use. And
Yes.
I remember when I bought my first house in LA and I put in, like, spent a lot of money on a backyard
Mhm.
that was non-existent. I put that in. I had a buddy of mine that was, he made a bunch of money too. He sold jets for Hawker Beechcraft, and he came over and he catches me shopping for lawnmowers. He's like, "What are you
Yeah.
doing?" I'm like, "Looking for lawnmowers." He's like, "Why?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Dude, I just spent a fortune on that lawn. You kidding me? Like, I'm gonna take care of it." He's like, "Yeah, but like, you don't want to do that. Why do you want to do that?" And I'm like, "Well, because I'm thinking I'm gonna do it myself." And it's like, "Do you get some kind of cathartic response from a lawn?" I'm like, "No." And he's like, he said, "How much money did you make last year?" And then I told him, and he goes, "All right, now let's divide that up." And we came down to an hourly wage.
Yeah.
He goes, "That's how much you're gonna pay your lawnmower if you do it."
Yourself. Right.
Yeah. He goes, "That's friggin' expensive, dude." Like,
Yeah.
does that come with, like, hookers and heroin? Like, that is one expensive lawnmower, you know?
Right.
Like, go get the guy there, because even if he's mowing your lawn and you're relaxing on the couch watching a Packer game,
Mhm.
that's needed downtime for your brain to reset and do
Yeah.
and focus on your highest and best use, which is what you're doing to provide for your family and make money, and to grow your business. And it's that delegation thing matters, man.
Mhm.
Like, I could save money if I didn't pay for my accountant, if I didn't pay my bookkeeper, which is essentially my father. I pay him,
Yeah.
and but hell no. Like, I don't want that.
Just the
That would be
cognitive
something that I would
load.
then turn into the procrastinator, the
Oh,
first one, where I'm like, "I'm not gonna touch it." Why? Because I loathe it.
right.
I
And
mean,
that's
it's
gonna
just like
cause
a root canal.
chaos.
Yeah.
And it's gonna
Yep.
cause chaos down the line when
Yep.
something isn't paid or whatever.
Something's gonna go off the tracks. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, I agree with that. I'm I have to confront that with, because as I have more help on stuff, like
Mhm.
my son Ozzy, he just came in, between episodes here, and it's like, hey, I finished Buffer. Buffer is an app that I use to schedule my Instagram post. Sometimes I
Mhm.
post live. Sometimes it's like quote cards from the climb, or it's different things, and it's just they're queued up, so they drop. So I'm consistently, hopefully, dropping helpful content for songwriters. And so I have a stack of stuff, and I have, I've outlined how to do it. Like, okay, these are the time slots, and let's just kind of do this kind of mix of this kind of content. So Ozzy will go in and, you know, schedule him for 2 weeks out or whatever. And once a week he goes in and just updates it for another week. And, so
Mhm.
just stuff I don't have to do. Now, does that mean every single post that is exactly what I would post at that time, or
Mhm.
exactly how I do it? What? No. But as they say in this book, 80% done by somebody else is 100% awesome.
Yeah. Yes. I
You
like
know?
that.
It's like, yeah, I could do it myself, and I might tweak some stuff here and there, and I might be able to upgrade the comment a little bit more. But really, what's my highest and best use? It's not
Yeah.
that. Like, I want to help people, and I want to help grow the brand, that kind of stuff. But it's like, I got other stuff that are really gonna, what's really gonna help me grow my brand? Write another song and go get another cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's gonna help my brand more than having slightly upgraded Instagram post. Like I said, I still post sometimes live. Sometimes that's me, and sometimes it's me preloaded. But
Mhm.
80% done by somebody else is 100% awesome.
Man, I think about Ren,
Oh
like
man,
right
yeah.
now, I'm thinking like we should hire a Secret Service team just to always protect Ren from anything that could possibly happen to him, because the last thing in the world that I want to be faced with is having to edit the friggin' podcast again. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So grateful for what he does,
yeah,
and it took a little bit of runway to get him going,
yeah.
but he's doing fantastic with it now. I trust him implicitly. I don't even listen anymore unless
You hear that,
unless I
Ren?
happen to be listening to a podcast.
Yeah,
Like so that's you know
And there are
all
gonna be
the
some
time that
choices
you and
that
I invested into
Mhm.
teaching him how to do that
Yeah.
is paying us back in spades now, you
Yeah,
know?
and it's like, yeah, are there gonna be some choices that he would make that you would make different choices? Sure. Because there's an art as well as a craft to it, and there's gonna
Yeah,
be some things where like, "Oh, I would emphasize this, I'm not gonna worry about what" it'll be a little bit different, but you know what? You don't ha it's good
yeah,
enough.
good. It's good.
Right?
It's good.
It's
Like,
good,
yeah, it
he's
works.
doing a good
We have never
job.
gotten any complaints. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't listen. I don't even listen anymore and think like, I would have done something like when I occasionally when I'll listen back to one,
Mhm.
but no, like I don't. Not that just does it's non-existent now.
Yeah,
You
you
know what
don't
I
have to
mean?
think
Like
about it.
it's
Now you can,
no,
because your highest and best use is, like, creating the content,
yeah,
not editing it.
yep,
So, that kinda stuff. So, that's the supervisor. Supervisor would go in and re-edit everything that Ren already did, or sit on his
yep,
shoulder and do it all while he's doing it. It's like, why? Why are you doing it?
mhm,
So, it's a way of making self-sabotage. Number 4 is the saver. So the fourth assassin is the saver. This one infiltrates the entrepreneur who's only saving money, not reinvesting it. So once the saver gets a hold of you, you've created a false sense of success by hoarding a nest egg. Um, so this is just interesting. So it's basically the person that won't reinvest back in their thing, but it's like I'm saving it, you know. So he talks about this. He goes every month. He goes, I have a buddy Kyle who called me. He runs a multi-million-dollar mastermind for entrepreneurs. So it costs like $40,000 a year to join his monthly mastermind,
huh,
right? So this guy's bringing in huge revenue, and so he had almost 50 members when he called me, frustrated, like because there's just all this work to do this super high end curated
yeah.
thing every month. He's
There's a
getting
lot of
huge.
content that they expect to get to look good,
This
to be
event,
professional.
yeah,
Yeah,
this event has, yeah, everyone's different, and he's just killing himself doing this. He's getting paid bank, but he's killing himself. He's like, oh man, they got to come up with this curriculum. It's just killing me. He's like, well, I got this buddy that does it. He's high end too, but he can handle all that. And so, he's so I told him that, that I know this guy that would probably charge less than 10,000 to help him put together this curriculum. And he's like, man, does he have a $20 book I can read? He's like, wait a second. He's like, no, he doesn't. He's like him and Han. He's like, so instead of spending $10,000, which is only 1/4 of one member's fee to join his mastermind, he
he's got
teamed up.
50. Yeah,
Yeah, he was willing to burn out and risk a growing multi-million-dollar business to save a few bucks. So
yeah,
the problem with being excellent at fixing problems is that sometimes you want to fix them even when they don't exist, right?
yeah, yeah.
So that's the thing of going, hey, that's why I hire someone who to sing my demos or to record my demos if the co-writer is not quality at doing that
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
Why? I could save a few bucks by singing my own demos, but it's going to cost me every single cut I could have gotten off that song because it's going to sound terrible.
That's right. All
You
tuned
know?
up like weird sounding.
Oh,
Yeah.
it would just oh my gosh, I can't imagine. So yeah, I could save a few bucks on the front end, but how much is it going to cost me on the back end? Right?
Okay, so on that note, like what I'm thinking about right now
Mhm.
is, a couple different interactions I've had with record labels
Mm,
and their their inability to face the devil they don't know, to
yeah.
stay with the devil they do know with,
Mhm.
with digital marketing. And I think about the to get out of the groove that they have, they're like, if we spend $5,000 on digital marketing, when do we get 5,001 back?
Right.
Well, what'd you spend on the last single you guys released? And how'd you market it? Radio. What'd you spend and when'd you get it back? We didn't.
We didn't get it
Okay.
back. We spent 6 figures or 7
Yeah.
figures.
Didn't get it back. So can we start the conversation here? Like, well, that's clearly not important to you, right?
Yeah.
But
Like you'll
you're
swallow
not
an elephant
spending
but strain on a gnat, right?
yeah, so instead of they want, $5,000 in digital marketing to beat
Mhm.
$1,000,000 worth of radio spins, and then they're gonna give it some serious thought. But what they should be doing is really R&D, is spending a little bit of discretionary income to try to go play in the sandbox and figure
Mhm.
out how to make it work. And and the other label I'm thinking of is when I went in and they were trying to get an artist on the radio. They're going to go to radio tour, but before they spent was could probably easily be 300 grand on radio tour with this artist.
Mhm.
They knew radio wouldn't talk to him because he didn't have a big enough digital presence. That's why I'm called in, right? Because they got pain.
Yeah.
So, Johnny, how much should we spend on these digital ads? You know, I'm like, what you should spend on radio, 30, 50 grand a month. Oh, we'll
Yeah.
never get the guy to sign off on that. And I'm like, okay. Well, so I boiled it down to this. I took all the risk away and said, okay, I'll take you can pay my fee at the end of the month if and only if you feel like I moved the needle enough,
Mhm.
but guarantee me a minimum of $10,000 in Facebook ads,
Mhm.
knowing that when the needle starts to move, you're going to ramp it up to 30 to 50, but you'll already at that point, you already know it's a winner. You already know it's accomplishing what you want it to accomplish, and do that. And 10 grand, couldn't do it. And then the next week I get a call from a buddy. So there's no risk, right? I get a
Yeah.
call from a buddy next week. He's like, knows the whole story.
Mhm.
And he was like pissed because they just signed, they just recently signed the last couple of months a new female artist, and they just spent 10 grand on her effing birthday party. But they won't spend 10 grand on R&D, right? On
Yeah.
like just trying something, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of like that same thing. It's like, man, what are you investing in, the right things or the wrong things?
Yeah.
Like to make sure that you're ahead of that curve, to learn, because winter's coming with radio.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's sad. And that's for some people it's creating chaos, right? Or they think they're being smart, saving for a rainy day, but they're going to, they're doing a rain dance at the same time. All right, number 5 is a self-medicator. So he goes, in 2005, I was a self-medicator. So this is the author Dan speaking. He goes, by then I was 25, running my third business, a technology company, and Yale called me. He goes, for me, it was ironic. I'd skipped college entirely. I never dreamed of setting foot inside, a prestigious university. Now Yale was asking me to set up their software program. So, I flew to New Haven, Connecticut, picked up my rental car, and I called my dad to share my excitement. After a day's work setting up the services, I was ready to celebrate. I asked around where I could grab some sushi, and they told me same place. So I go there and I have some sushi and some sake to celebrate. And I celebrated with way too much sake, basically. All right. So when I woke up the next morning in my hotel room, I was still drunk. I called in sick. Food poisoning was all I could come up with. In 24 hours, I went from hero to zero. That's what the self-medicator loads up on his victims, pushing people to self-sabotage to celebrate and self-sabotage to escape. Whether you win or lose, the self-medicator wants to eat up your chances of success tomorrow. Land a huge contract, drink. Lose a huge contract, drink.
Drink. Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's a whole lot of that in the music business. There are plenty, there are plenty of reasons to drink, as I think, what's his name? Cole, what's his name? Justin Moore said, it's like always a reason to drink in this town.
Yeah, that's it.
And so, are you doing that just to cause sabotage in your career? To I mean, that's a definite real thing. Yeah, there's whether it's up or down, either way, the answer is the same.
Yeah, to the point
Party,
of
drink.
excess. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you go out and have a beer, whatever. But if it's causing chaos and there's that downside, then it's messing up your next day. Like, oh, I had a bad day today. I didn't get some cut. I'm gonna go out and drink, show up still drunk to my co-write tomorrow and screw that up too. It's like in football or any sort of sport. They're like, don't let one loss become two. Don't let that team beat you twice. They beat you on the field or on the court tonight. Don't let them beat you next game because you're still not over
and
it.
They're not even in the game.
No, it's a different team, but they're going to beat you twice because you're so belly aching and taking it hard on the loss you just had. No, you got to have that forget about it, turn around mindset.
Oh, I've never heard that. I like that.
Don't let don't let them beat you twice. You got to let go of it, prep for the next win. Same thing with or a victory. Don't snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Like, I had a great meeting with this great first day in the studio, and I show up hammered the next day in the studio, and now the producer's like amateur. Or whatever it is.
And they don't care how the clock works. They don't care why.
No, they
just know what time it is.
Exactly.
This is what's going on. I don't want to have any part of it. Yep.
Yeah, I ain't got time for that.
Yep.
So he says here, you want to give your life to production. Like each of the time assassins hurting your production in the long run for the sake of chaos. But in the immediate term, you're zapping your time. So the staller won't let you move past big decisions. Get that demo done, call that person for that $1 million co-write, whatever that is. The speed demon ensures that you keep making the same mistakes because you don't stop and reflect on how's that working out for you, as Dr. Phil would ask. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The supervisor ensures that your time never upgrades, meaning you'll spend more and more frustrating hours on tasks that you're only mediocre at best. In other words, whether it's a booking agent, or recording your own demos, laying down your guitar when you're not the guitar player, you're just a great vocalist, or whatever that is, right? The saver is tricky. So he tells you to save your money, costing you time. You agonize over $100 purchase that could have saved you 10 hours. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So saver's tricky. And then the self-medicator is perhaps the hardest to detect, as he often sneaks up on you in the form of celebration. But a night of celebration can easily turn into sleeping late, robbing you of precious hours of productivity the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So it says statistically, entrepreneurs are more prone to having chaos addiction. So you gotta watch out for that. Definitely as an artist, as a creative, like some people are just, man, we run on chaos, and that's our happy place. And you got to watch out for that because it's going to hurt you in the long run.
That's right. I love that. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah. So the last, he has every chapter he has like buyback rules. So I'm just going to share these with you, and we'll close up here. It says, 1, you want to research confirms. So just kind of in summary, research confirms that business coaches have observed for years. Most entrepreneurs are addicted to chaos. So this probably applies to you because you're an entrepreneur. 2, your ability to deal with chaos gives you an entrepreneurial advantage. Like, again, Johnny, on the road, learning how to deal with chaos, that's an advantage. But it can also make you subconsciously seek out chaos, which is a disadvantage. 3, your chaos addiction shows up as one of the 5 time assassins: the staller, the speed demon, the supervisor, the saver, or the self-medicator. 4, most people bounce from one assassin to another without facing the root problem: chaos addiction. And number 5, becoming the person you want to be requires that you get real with any of your demons. So I just want to encourage that, if you see yourself in this, then okay, what are you you got some work to do. We all have work to do. Welcome to the club. We all have work to do. But maybe this will help you figure out, okay, that's the area. That's what that is. I didn't know what gremlin was, pulling my engine apart in the middle of the night. Now I know. Now I'm on a gremlin hunt, So hopefully that's going to be helpful for you. But anyway, just killer book, really helpful. There's a lot of other stuff in here that's helpful. But again, that book is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. So thank you again, Dion, for sending that my way. Hey, I have a gift for you if you're in the reading kind of mind. I have a free PDF download for you. It's called 6 Simple Ways to Make Your Songs More Commercial. So if you want to get a little less chaos and more fun, write some commercial songs, get some good stuff happening. It's my gift to you. You can get it at 6 simpleways.songwritingpro.com. 6simpleways.songwritingpro.com. It's just some of what I've learned in my years in the music business, getting cuts, not getting cuts. Here are some ways to upgrade your songs. And you can thank me later and just invite me to the number 1 party. And that's what I got.
Awesome, man. Good job. I love that stuff. That brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode. Hope you learned something, guys. This podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.